Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's time for the J. Craig Podcast. Playing on headphones near you.
Dads, pops, father, padres, paterfamilias, head honcho, top dog, alpha. Today we're going to be talking about dads.
Yeah.
Rob, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Jay? We're on Skype today.
We're on Skype today, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing
Very,
good.
very cool, very cool.
Fellow father to father.
That's right. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about dads and fathers and all that cool stuff that comes with that territory. It's a nice little topic here. Welcome back to the J. Craig Podcast, everybody. I'm Jay. That's Rob.
What's up, y'all?
That's right. So, hey, if you're not familiar with us, hit that subscribe button, like, and follow us and get all of our content. There's a lot of stuff out there for on the J. Craig. And, hey, man, let's just dive right in here. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's a Saturday morning, really early. And I was, to talk about dads, but, the movie aspect is what always drives me when it comes to thinking about dads.
Sure.
You got the Clark W. Griswolds, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You got to have those.
You got Mufasa. So you have different kinds of dads, right? And then you have like the John McClanes out there. That's a dad, right? So
right, or the guy from Taken, he's a dad. It's like, I mean, at the end of the day, but
Liam Neeson's.
You just named a kids movie, a comedy, and an action movie all in one. So, this topic goes across many genres, that's for sure. And let's talk about games. We'll talk about games. We can talk about father and son bands and duos.
Absolutely.
With what Jeff Daniels is doing with his kids over in Chelsea, and with the Purple Rose Theater, and he's been on the Tonight Show a couple times. Yeah, Jeff Daniels has got a kid. They tour. Yeah. They tour around, father and son band. Huh. So there you go, dad.
Nice. Yeah, John Carpenter is out there with his sons.
That's right. He toured
doing music, and
yeah. See, so why not? Hey, man, the first time I picked up a harmonica, it was because I watched you do it. I learned it from watching you.
I learned it from watching you. Remember that old ad, right? Absolutely. The old drug ad.
Yeah. Well, they still bomb that every once in a while on the social media these days. But
yeah.
But yeah, So let's dive right in here.
Yeah. So here's what I want to do. I want to talk about just first of all, great dads out there, right? We talked about a couple of them, but I want to talk about some of the movies that embark on the dad territory.
Oh, sure.
Because there are a lot of different genres out there that cover the dad territory, and it's funny how you can have a different reaction after you're a dad, right? Like you can watch a movie like The Road, and its bleakness and everything, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and yet it's so sad. But then you watch it, and now I can't watch it because I'm a dad. If I watched it when I was a dad, it would have been heartbreaking.
Yeah,
it's a totally different experience, right? So there's that, and then I want to talk about obviously like what it means to be a dad. Like what does it take to be a dad?
Sure, right.
So let's break into real territory for a minute there, right? Instead of movies and video games, let's talk about
but you're going to walk the same path because anytime we're diving down into our pop culture, really, our movies and our things, our TV shows that influence us. We're talking about our pop culture, and that's how we were raised, which circles back to your family, So of course you're raised by your dad and your parents. I was raised by my older brother too. He was like a second dad sometimes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I had that luxury. You have father figures at school. You have male teachers. Coaches. I had coaches teach me things. I had a guitar teacher guy. So there's male role models too. Okay, and I don't want to discount those guys. I mean, really. But I do want to focus. Hey, this is dad territory. And definitely bring it back to the movies and games and shows. So
of course. Well, hey, it's the J. Craig Podcast. I mean, you're not gonna.
You got to.
It's all got to come around that way.
Got to be. All right.
Okay. I also want to talk about, it's not always just the dad. Like you were talking about, it could be the big brother, it could be an uncle, it could be a family friend. It depends on the situation. Every situation is completely different from another. Adopted versus raised, are you still a dad if, you're not the biological father? I want to talk about that a little later.
Okay.
And then, of course, the style of dad. Like, what is your style?
Right.
Because there's such, the way my dad was is completely different than what but obviously there's things that I take with me from those, moments. I still find myself doing the same things he did as a father, but we have totally different styles. And, so there's a lot of difference there, right?
I think legacy.
Yeah,
that's the word I think of, what you just said. It's legacy.
Yeah.
So let's dive in with one question. I'm going to pose to you. Okay.
Got it.
Jay, why did you choose to become a dad? I mean, obviously it was a choice you and your wife made, but why do you want to be a dad?
Let's
just throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just we were married.
Mm-hmm.
We are married. We knew that eventually. We never really talked about it when we were starting out. It wasn't something that we were going to have kids. It was just we were ready. It's like it was time for us to have a family. Time for us to take that next step into I don't want to say adulthood, because you don't have to have kids to be an adult, obviously. But I mean, just taking that next step for us in relationship and in our lives was we needed to have and the way we were with each other, like we got to have kids. Yeah, it's just natural for us to have kids. Yeah,
natural.
So,
okay. Yeah. My big brother. I asked my big brother that question once, or the topic came up, and he said that was the point of life. So that was his his outlook on it. Me, I would answer the question, say because my legacy, my father's legacy, and my grandfather's legacy. And of course my mom in there, my grandma Jane, all these strong women in my life. I want to bring them into it, but hopefully I can find a soulmate to help with that aspect. Because I mean, how much of a woman can I really be, right? But I mean, at the same time, there's just great values being taught across all genders and spaces. So Anyway, but that's how I would answer it. I just want to pass on my legacy and all the information and the things that I stand for and that my family stands for. And that's why I finally was like, I have to do this. I was like, biological clock or whatever you call it. It was like the horn was like blasting. And so,
okay. So let me turn that on you now.
Yeah.
Turn that question to you in a different way. When you heard of the news that you were going to be a father, how did you react?
Well, what's funny is that it's almost.
I hope Tina listens to this part, by the way. She hope.
Well,
just from my side when I answer my part of it.
Yeah. Well, what it is, I mean, at first I thought to myself, I'm not ready.
Okay.
I'm not ready.
I think that should be the right reaction.
And that's why my mind started spiraling, because I started thinking the hero's journey, the archetype in literature, film.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Star Wars, even. Old man comes.
Joseph Campbell.
Old man comes and tells the young hero, "You have a job to do." At first, he says, "Oh God, I'm not ready. I can't do this," and then circles back, and eventually it becomes his destiny, and then there you go, the hero's journey. So that's I was like, "Oh God," and then all of a sudden, exactly, the super S on my chest came. It was like, "Oh God, I got to rise up and do something now." I had that feeling. I seriously, it was like a sucker punch. I denied it. I wanted to run from it. I was scared, but then you had to accept it. You had to say, dude, this is it.
It's like Thanos in the beginning of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Run from it, dread it. It's inevitable.
Mister, you know what that sound is, Neo? He's holding Mr. Anderson, in the tunnel. Yep. That's the sound of inevitability. Yeah.
Exactly.
So she put the pregnancy test like right there by the toilet when I got up to drain the weasel in the morning. So that was that. It was right in the morning too. It was like, right when you open your eyes, you're like, huh? And you see the little plus, you're like, oh, this is happening. So anyway, there.
It's interesting. Okay, so I can appreciate where you're coming from, because I think every dad has that feeling. Because for me, and this is where I said I hope Tina's listening to this part, because she knows very well. She always lets people know what my reaction was.
Oh gosh!
Even though we were trying, we were trying. So it wasn't like this was going to be a surprise. Obviously, we were trying. Yeah. And so when I came home from work one day, and she had it in a shoe box or like a box. And she handed it to me. I think it had a bow on it or something. And she handed it to me, and I was like, "What's this?" And I opened it up, and it was inside. And I literally, like, my eyes bugged out, and I handed it back and I backed away. like, whoa.
Yeah. The briefcase of Pulp Fiction. You were like, "Oh, damn, is that what I think it is?"
And it wasn't like I was almost like, I'm not ready for this. I was terrified.
The Ark of the Covenant just opened.
I was absolutely terrified.
Don't look at it, Joe!
No!
It's hilarious.
So she always throws it back in my face when she sees it on TV or someone react in a certain way, like when they're super excited about that news. Yeah. Like they're super excited about it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, because I was terrified.
Hey man, you had your reaction. You're allowed to have your own unique.
Yeah, I am.
You're a unique guy, dude. So.
Hey, but it also comes from how I was brought up.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I always think of like what could happen. I'm not thinking always optimistically. Okay. Right? It's just I'm always like, it's not doom or gloom all the time, but the way I was raised is like more like you're always watch out and you're always like on guard.
That's human nature, man. That we're programmed for that. That's why almost 80% of our thoughts are negative thoughts, because we're trying to do a subtractive approach to our surroundings. What's not right here? Because that's survival, dude. Those genetics got passed on to you for the last 4,000 years or 20,000 years. Okay, well. Hey, the people that notice what's wrong around them are the ones that get to live. So yeah. Anyway, that's where that comes from. But
true enough. But I was terrified.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Ultimately, I was like, I'm not ready. Yeah. Like you mentioned, I'm not ready for this. I was terrified of having to take care of another human being like that. And then I was like, oh my God, this changes everything. Like, and we knew we were doing it, so it wasn't like it was like super surprised. But it's just like that's my reaction, unfortunately. But then that obviously things change, right? And all of a sudden you start to accept and move on and start to, not deal with it, but
Well, and then here I'm going to bookend it now. Here's the question now. Okay. Present day. Mm-hmm. What do you enjoy the most about being a dad right now? See, we just wound it back to the pregnancy test.
Yeah.
We went it back to fertilization, and now here you are, present day, with your two boys. What's the best, Jay? What's the greatest feeling now? Are you ready, or are you ready? Answer both of those questions.
Oh God, yeah. And every moment I feel like I'm not ready again for new things, because you're developing into new things every moment. It's always something new, and you're always experiencing something new, and there's always something new to teach. But so I'll never be always fully ready because it's always something new, right? And that's okay. And that's the scary part about being a parent, is that unknown aspect of what you're doing, and we're all, and then we get better, you learn more, but ultimately it's moments. Mm-hmm. That's what I love about it. All these moments I get to share with my kids. I'm lucky enough to work at home, and I'm not always at home, but I work from home for the most part. I don't have an office to go to every day, so I see a lot of my kids. Like, I spend a lot more time than I think most dads do, because I'm home a lot. I'm picking up, I'm dropping off, I'm doing a lot of work.
Showing up at the school.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
I know that. I'll be talking on the phone and there's kids running around the background. Right. I'm like, oh yeah.
I'm always doing. I'm always there, and so I love that. Is that my life is not revolving around the kids, because I have we have work, we have other things that we're doing, right? And I don't want that to be the case where we're always like, it has to be about everything the kids are doing, right? We still have to live our lives. Otherwise, I think that's where you get kind of crazy and you start to lose focus on relationships and shit like that.
Right. But you don't want to dissolve. Yeah, you don't want to dissolve into.
For me, it's the moments. To answer your question without getting sidetracked, because this is a lot of sidetrack we're gonna get in here today. It's those moments, it's sharing those moments with my kids as they grow. Cool. So now I pose that back to you.
For me, man, I keep coming back to my legacy. I keep coming back to what you do, Rob Free. Is it because I'm an artist? Is it because of my information I know? I don't know. It's just who I am, and maybe this goes to what we were just talking about a minute ago about dissolving your personality into this, or becoming, just dad for dad's sake, and you forget, Jay stop. Where does Jay stop and dad start? You know what I mean? Because like I've been Rob for 35 years, and then now for the last 6 years I'm dad, or actually I was dad for a couple of years too, because I was Eli's stepdad. Right. So we'll get into that, but yeah. So for me, when we're side by side, I've sent you some videos. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone's seen me and my boy playing. When we're playing music, man.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. He's jumping on the drums, or he's dancing, and he understands the flow and the. It's just so interesting. Yeah. And, when you're side by glorious side doing that, and I think after I sent you a video, you got inspired and you went and tried to do a little movie with your boys.
Yeah, I absolutely did. Yeah.
And that's the moments. I mean, that's the moments you just spoke of. But I think, it's the same answer that you have. But for me, I'm a nuts and bolts guy. It's I'm side by side doing what I love to do the most in life, and showing him that this is really important. This is really important, son.
I like that.
Music and performing for people is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the way but you're sharing those experiences. So now I need to piggyback off that, and let me be more specific, because since you said that, it makes me want to say my favorite thing that I actually do. That those moments are absolutely there, but they're all over the place, right? If I want to pinpoint this. On the best moments I love to share is exactly what you're doing. It's sharing my love of movies and the theater going experience with my boys. Not watching movies at home where I'm still trying to teach them, like I'm trying to show them structure of story, what the midpoint is, and why things happen early. I'm trying to teach them early, right?
Exactly.
But it's the theater going experience that I love, that I remember really early on with my dad going to see stuff like Wrath of Khan and all these other movies back in the 80s. And I remember the theater that we were going to. So those moments I'm taking with them, and I'm showing them my value, my love of the theater.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I love those moments.
Respect it. Go in, be quiet, turn the phone off.
Right.
And there's so many mini lessons in that lesson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying, like, pay attention.
Right.
Do it right. Don't rush the feeling on drum. You know what I mean? It's like, so we're going to get into that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Gosh, isn't it great? We have years and years to explore that.
Absolutely.
With them.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay.
So
now,
next topic. Do you want to talk about the definition of dad?
I want to break into something first. I want to talk about some movies first.
Okay. Let's do that.
So let's segue here a little bit into movie territory. Until we talk about the definition of a dad. So we already started kind of going down that road. You're right. I like that. Yeah. Let's put that little pin in it for a second. So let's talk about dads in movies.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I always think of Clark W. Griswold. Right. That's the first one I said today. What I think was Clark W. Griswold. That's one of my favorites. Is because he's a good dad, but he's a buffoon. Right. He just doesn't know what he's doing. But that's what's great. He just keeps plugging along. He just keeps trying. He just keeps, hey, I'm just gonna figure this out as I go, kind of thing, And I love that. But then you have stuff like, oh my God, there's so many. Dad wrote down so many here, but you can go into.
Mr. Mom comes into play for me.
Absolutely.
For me, growing up, the first time I was like, oh, being a dad's hard. Wait, you mean that's a thing? Oh, wait, you mean you dads don't know how to vacuum? Like it opened my eyes to roles, to gender roles, responsibilities, or whatever.
Yeah.
But like that was like, oh, so being a dad. And actually, when we share our list later, we'll talk about our favorite dads of all time.
Yeah.
But my list is actually going to go, and I'll explain it. It's going to go almost in chronological style as to the dads on screen that I grew up with.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And my dad list is separate from my favorite movies list,
of course,
which is interesting.
Yes.
So we have two top 5 lists.
We do have two top 5 lists.
There's going to be 4 lists all day going on, crowd. So stick around to the end, please, everyone, and then we're going to share our list.
Yeah,
but,
and we'll break. Actually, we'll probably give you. Let's give them a list after. We'll do our movie list after this part, and then we'll save our dads for the end.
Okay. So the movies.
Okay.
So yeah, you think of Clark Griswold, but yeah, what about Die Hard? What about
exactly John McClane?
John McClane. Yeah, we talked about that too.
Because everything he's doing, it's okay. So I mean, yeah, but it's not about him being a dad. He's trying to survive, right? He's trying to save his wife. It doesn't have anything to do with the kids, right? But if you look at the story, what it's about him trying to come there so he can spend time with the kids because they're separated now and they live on the other side of the country. So it's about him trying to suck it up and come to California and spend time with his kids. And then he gets caught in this. So, it's not really about him being a good dad, but he is, he's doing his best the best he can for his family.
Yeah. I'd like to bring up Dad Force right now.
Dad Force?
Yeah. Dad Force. The force of dad.
Okay.
Now, this is exactly what's driving that. That the reason why the dad is important in that movie is because it drives his heart. Why is he here? There's a reason why. Well, it's Dad Force. The force and power of dad. And that's the whole reason why no matter what, and this is interesting, I've read a few, I can't give you the names and titles of the books or authors, but I've read a few dad books or whatever. I mean, who hasn't dabbled in that, right? But one of the things is there's this inexplicable dad force. I don't think they coined it or said that. I'm coining that because I'm a Star Wars nerd. Okay, so, but the dad force is basically like, you're always going to have a connection and a bond to your father. Okay, no matter what. It's an honest, just like with mom. My mom has one too, guys. That's why this isn't the anti-mom episode. This is just let's celebrate. It is what it is, and that dad force is something that. If you don't see your dad for 5 years, 10 years, even if you had a rough childhood or whatever, there's always going to be that love there no matter what. You know what I mean? I mean, there's extreme cases and there's broken families. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to talk about there's just something, and it's so strong, Jay, and that's what I'm saying. Think about it as one of the most strongest forces. It's love. I mean, it's love, guys, but it's just like there's something like, because you see, when you look into his eyes and you see yourself and he sees you, and I cough and I sneeze, I sound just like my dad if I laugh, there's so much biological, genetic, and then learned from if you're adopted or something, you know, learned from your dad,
right?
And like you do things just like, or you say phrases the way he did it, or the way your canter, or the way you talk, even speech patterns,
right?
So there's a dad force out there, and I just wanted everyone to just think about this as a huge thing, because it is. I mean, really,
it's interesting that you say that. I don't want to get too far into this part of it, because this could go down a rabbit hole for me. But I'm adopted, and I don't know anything about my biological father.
Okay.
To the point where I don't want to, because I just don't want to open that door.
And neither does Eli. I raised him from 6 to he's 14 now. For the last 7 years, you know, I've known him. I raised him for about 3 or 4 or 5 years. But yeah, the same thing. He called me dad, and he never just knew he didn't want to. He was just like, it doesn't matter. You know,
interesting.
And he was a boy saying that. So
I'm kind of the same way. Okay, I didn't want to. Okay, so because that could tailspin into.
Oh, that's good. Thanks for sharing that, dude.
But here's something that I find when we say dad force, and you talk about, you know, how John McClane's pushing through that because of that force. The road with Viggo Mortensen, he's called the Man, and he is obviously not prepared for what he has to do in this movie. And the entire movie, and actually the movie starts with him checking the breath of his son, like to make sure he's still breathing. He puts his hand on his chest to make sure he's still breathing. And so it's like that's all his focus is to make sure his kid survives, no matter what. And throughout the entire movie, that's all it's about, is keeping his son safe.
Yeah, with pinpoint accuracy. Yeah, no, that movie is so well told. Absolutely. Right. Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen that, absolutely.
Oh my God! But like I said, so when I saw that movie with Bob, we at the end of the movie, it's so bleak and dire. At the end of the movie, all that emotion, we kind of laughed at the end, because you're like, oh my God. And the lady turned around, she goes, how could you laugh at that? And we were like, that's kind of like just a sense of relief for us that it's over. Like, you know, we're laughing because, you know, how intense it is.
And he's finally laid to rest, you know.
Right, like, but we were laughing because we thought it was funny. We were laughing because of that sense of like, it's over, and we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Well, yeah,
absolutely. It's like when you're watching zombie movies and they're getting chased. They finally end up with some repose, and they end up in a warehouse somewhere behind a door. I'm finally like, oh, phew.
Right.
You can relax, you know, that pacing. But that movie just keeps hitting you. And finally to the climax, and you just finally get that knockout punch. You're just like, oh my God, this is brutal.
But that's the point is that he does everything he possibly can in the name of keeping his son safe.
Right.
And even to the passing of his son to the next family.
Right.
That seems to be good people, right? As opposed to everything else he's been encountering. It's the fear of leaving your son in the hands of people that you don't know.
Yeah. And the dad force took John McClane. He was just trying to do the right thing, spending more time with his kids. The dad force took him over there.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
The dad force, like Mufasa appeared in the clouds, and the dad force came into the kid, Simba. Simba finally was like, I'm strong enough now. I'm strong enough. And he went and did the, not the unthinkable, but, you know, the unattainable. His hero journey was complete. His legacy was complete because of Dad Force.
Right.
Dad Force pumped him up. You know, it's like Pac-Man taking a power pellet. You know?
Yeah.
And Mom Force, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, that love, the family, it doesn't matter if it's biological or not. That's so strong. It's so strong.
And it makes once you understand that and you see those in the moments, you can really appreciate those in the moment. That's why there's a moment I wanted you to see Avengers Endgame for, because I'm gonna dig that into just a little bit there.
Go.
There's a moment at the end where it really hits you, especially if you are a parent.
Oh,
and I don't want to say it because it's a nice moment that circles all the way back to 11 years ago, and it's really nice. At any rate, Train to Busan.
Oh yeah,
it's an Asian. I don't know, Korean. I'm not sure
it's
what.
Korean.
It's Korean.
Yeah,
it's a Korean zombie movie.
Yeah. She saw it.
More. Oh my God! And there's the dad force is in there too, because he's a dad who doesn't really seem like he wants to be a dad, and he's spending time with he'd rather be working, and he's spending time with his daughter. They're taking a train back to his place, I guess. He's just picked her up, and the zombie thing happens, and he does everything in his power to keep his kids safe.
Yeah.
Dad Force.
Exactly. You jump into that mode. Exactly.
I just think we found the title of the episode, by the way.
Yeah, there it is. Comes up slowly. You know, anyway.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so how about some more like that? So you talked about Mufasa. or at least Lion King. You got Mufasa, and you have Simba. Simba's not really a dad until the very end, but it's the family.
Along the same lines as Busan, Pursuit of Happiness. I mean, right there. That right there. I mean, that's just like, well, all the way down to Will Smith with his actual son Jaden playing the kid. I mean, that is like, talk about meta. That's all the way down into exactly what we're talking about. I mean, that movie, there's a bucket this big couldn't hold my man tears in that movie, dude. It's just like, so.
I didn't see it.
Well, dude, put it this way. When it came out and I didn't have a kid, I blew it off. And I watched it because now I'm a father. And darn it, I'm telling you, the bucket would have been, I mean, maybe I would have been, maybe a single man tear, if I wasn't a dad. But because I'm a dad and I know about that force and what it takes, and I'll do anything. Yeah. See, there was no zombies. That was just sometimes life has hard, and that hits you reality here. A paycheck doesn't come in, or, I can't make the ends meet, or the litigation and the damn courts want to get involved. It's like, ugh.
Right. Yeah. God, there's so many things that can happen, right? And everyone's circumstances is different. That's why I think, a father means something different to everybody, but
it's hard work. Everyone, I
think it is. It is hard work. Yeah. And gosh, man, we can go into that in great detail soon if you want. Okay. How about someone like Jason Furious Styles, I'm sorry, from Boys in the Hood.
Oh, dude, I know him well. Yeah, absolutely.
It's Lawrence Fishburne's character.
Yeah, and, great.
He's the hard love kind of dad.
Yeah.
He's more life lesson
in that environment, in that hood.
Right. He's like, you're gonna have to learn this the hard way, but I'm gonna give you the guidance you need, but I'm gonna let you make your choices.
Yeah.
And I think that's, there's that, and then there's the other side of that where you have the closed up idea of you have to do it this way, like you listen to me or you're gonna fail, and that's kind of where I always, I struggle with, like, how am I trying to teach this lesson? Do I want to tell them what to do or have them make that decision themselves, right? Like, if you jump off that, that's your choice. You could end up hurting yourself.
Yeah, how many times? Like, I look at that corner behind you, that little intersection there. They're running out of that corner there. It's just like, kids, stop! And you said that in our zombie episode. You're like,
right?
Like, are they going to listen to me? Are they? How many times can you say, don't do that? Eventually, just like, listen, I've taught you everything you need to hear. If you're going to jump off of that, that's your problem. Eventually, that's your own fault, and it's not your fault as a dad. And it's hard to let go of that. You're like, damn it, he just went and hurt himself. That's my problem as a dad. You're like, no, that's kind of your kid being an idiot. So
right, and then you take that step a little bit further. You're talking about that street right there, and you're right. It's a little turn, and some people take it a little too fast. And but like once in a while, if I'm up here and they're outside, I'll see Jesse look both ways a couple of times before he crosses the street, and I'm like, yes, he's doing what I'm asking him to. And then there's other times where I'm out there with them. And maybe they feel safe because I'm there with them, but they'll start crossing the street, and I'll say, "Don't stop," and look both ways, and they're not stopping. And it's like, what if a car was coming, and I'm telling you to stop? That it's that bad. It's like, but what do you become a broken record if you keep saying it things over and over again? You become a broken record, and you start becoming white noise.
Yeah, that's true. Right. That's right.
And now it's
like picking your battles. Exactly. You don't want to just broken record white noise it, but and you don't want to helicopter dad it too. You want him to fall down by himself and get over.
Absolutely, but there's a point there where you're like, do I want them to listen to me, right? So here's the balance I have to deal with is I want them to listen to me. I want them to stop on the dime when I say stop, right? I would love that.
Yeah.
I want that respect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want them to be able to make their own choices. Right. And I want them to not bend to authority like that.
Right. Well,
right? Like, just because someone says something, you can question it kind of thing. I want them to have that type of mentality too.
Think for yourself.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
but there's that balance, and
and that's your dad's style, and I love that style. That's ironic that we're going off of the wordplay from Jason Styles' character. That what's your dad's style? But no,
true.
Seriously, when you said that, I started thinking of the dark part, and we'll touch on that. By the way, this is the dad style topic we're on now. But my dad always encouraged people around him to have fun, and so I think about Gil from Parenthood.
Nice.
Steve Martin,
Yeah.
and he's always wanting to encourage play. And my brother's really good at this. My brother's he's a teacher too. He's like the kid whisperer. That's what my mom calls him, right? And he's really good with kids, and he has two. He has a daughter and a son, so he's got the full package. He's our kids every day, so he just knows how to get on that level, no matter what their age is. You know what I mean? And it's just really good like that. So, and that comes from the style was encouraging play and smiling and making it fun. And next thing you know, learning is fun, guys. And I think my brother has found his calling, and I'm a little jealous because I wish I loved my career as much as that. But at the end of the day, that came from my dad and his dad's style, which is allowing that fun. And then you have the other dads on the extreme that don't want the fun to happen because they're too scared of the danger of that.
Right.
And so I hear you falling kind of in the middle. Maybe you're definitely a fun dad. I know that, but it's just
absolutely.
But there is a dark side. People, military dads that send their kids to military school.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm definitely somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I want discipline, but I also definitely encourage play to the point where my folks encourage play. I was an only child, so I played. My alone time was my play time, and I excelled at that.
Yeah.
I created lots of worlds on my own like that. I love that.
You're so creative now.
But they didn't play with me. Right. Exactly. They didn't play with me. So I encourage play all the time, but I play with them, and they require me to play with them, and they want me to play with them, and I want that. I want that. I definitely have to be involved with that so I can be both.
Now, did you know that is as recent as your dad's dad, and so basically our grandfathers, that generation? I read this in the books too, and it's obvious from that generation, dude. In the 40s, you suppress your feelings. The men did not cry. Men did not get down on the floor and tussle too much. That was a rarity, and now it's almost a requirement. When I hear you say that, I'm like, I bet you almost every dad our age right now watching or listening is like, are you kidding me? That's a requirement, dude. And then they'll talk about the dishes and the cooking. I bet you we all do that now. So
we all do it now.
So that's something that the lines are blurred, and I'm happy about that. But you got to realize that our grandfathers didn't necessarily have the tools to teach our fathers how to manage their emotions. And then did our fathers have that ability to teach that to us? In other words, be happy, sad, or have fun, or don't have fun, or be serious, or the appropriate response.
Express yourself.
And be able to handle anger and rage and not freak out and punch kids, at school. So it's hard, man. I just totally spun around there, but that's the dynamics you fall into, and you got to realize that just things have changed, and dad's style was probably a lot longer. Like, think about thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago, how much dad's style probably changed and how fast it changed. Probably not that much, but just like the times are changing and technology is changing nowadays, so are dads. So we're in this crazy world where dads have to reinvent themselves. So I just want to say it's harder than ever, folks. It's hard keeping up with the Joneses and the social media, and these dads do this and these dads do this and you don't do that. I only get to see my kid 6-7 days a month, so that's my style. But people praise me that I do the best I can. You know what I mean? So
you take great efforts to do it. You drive far, you do a lot of driving to get it done, and you make it work. And
could I have made that work 400 years ago? If I was in this situation, I don't know. Would I have a car? Could I get in my mule? Would I get in my horse-drawn carriage and drive over 40 miles to see my kid? Would I? What would have happened there? Anyway, that's
exactly
a whole conversation. Right. But the dad style, man, that's what
dad style. That dad style. Yeah. Now, speaking of dad style, you can compare Andy Griffith from the Andy Griffith Show, or Andy. His name wasn't Andy Griffith; it was Andy Taylor. But Andy Griffith Show, and another sitcom, Red Foreman from that '70s show.
Ah, yeah, right.
Both really good dads, but both very different styles. Andy Griffith, very, very loving and educational, and trying to teach them the right thing to do, letting them make their own choices, kind of thing. Even far back then, that's actually impressive if you think about it. But now you have Red Foreman, who is hardlined. I'm going to call you an idiot when you're an idiot. You make the right choice the first time.
The Goldbergs on ABC. That dad, he's like, "Hey, nuts." He's always calling his kids names and stuff. It's hilarious, but yeah. So there's that style. Yeah. You're right. Very different styles is what you're saying.
Very different. Yeah, and everyone's got their own style. That's the thing is, I guess there is the wrong way. Obviously, if you're doing things the wrong way.
American Beauty.
What's?
The wrong
nice.
way. The wrong way.
That's
just the wrong way. And then he murders Kevin Spacey at the end. I mean, that's just the darkest, some of the darkest fathering I've ever seen on film. So.
Oh yeah, the Chris Cooper. He was pretty. Yeah,
anyway, that's my dark. I want to keep this fun, guys. This is a fun episode. Being a dad is a good. Yeah.
Let's stay on TV shows for a second.
Yeah. Oh,
one of my favorites was John Goodman from Roseanne.
Oh yeah.
And I remember when it was when he had a heart attack, or they thought he died on the episode one time. I remember I cried. Like I was very saddened by that when I was a kid.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because I loved him as a dad. I'll always think of him as that.
I bet you he's on your top 5 list. I'm just saying.
He's not. But I wrote him down today. Like so, I didn't prepare nearly as much as I wanted to for this episode. Why?
Oh, I did.
Because dad life for me has been crazy busy, so I didn't get a chance to it.
What did I just say? I'm like a 25% dad. You are like 100% dad. Plus with the 2 boys, dude. I couldn't. Boys are synergistic. We all know this. One boy, it's like, yeah, I got this. That's at the 100% level. A 2 boy, that should be at the 200% level. No. For some reason, it goes up to 250. It adds this mythical extra energy. For every boy you add another 50%.
Especially when they don't see each other for most of the day, and then they sit down at dinner time with each other.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's just
it's a freaking nightmare. It's like, I mean, I've never seen somebody much yelling by me and Tina to get these kids just to sit down and eat your food and just stop.
I remember one time with my baby, when Simon was a baby, I had to drive around a remote control helicopter to get him to eat. It's like, he would land and he'd be like, I'd be like, take a bite. He'd be like, all right, take a bite. And then as soon as he'd take the bite, the motor would go, and he would take off and he'd love it. And so the only way we get him to eat was, so there, dad ingenuity. Okay. So we got
helicopter dad.
Helicopter dad. So we got dad gizmo or dad gadget.
So
gadget.
Speaking of the helicopter part of it, that's something that I think actually is becoming much more prevalent today, is people hovering over their kids and trying to make them make the right choice. And I think that's where I'm trying to not do that. You know, I don't want to be a micromanager.
What you just said is what'd you just say? Make your kids make the right choice, or
make your kids.
The way you said it. No. The way you said it. That is just paradoxical logic right there. I'm going to make him make the choice. Well, then it's not a choice then.
Right.
The way you just went about it is completely backwards. So,
teach them to make the right choice.
Yeah.
You got to teach them to make the right choice. But eventually they have to make those choices on their own. And so that's why, you hope that you've done the right things. But it's the fear of keeping them safe, though. That's most what these movies that I look at are about. Is the ones that I really like are about keeping your kids safe and protecting them.
All right, so here you go. Top 5 movies. We are.
Top 5 movies. Let's do it.
Let's do a high five. Give me a little. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. High five.
Top five. All right. Let's go. You start.
Me start?
Yeah, you start.
All right.
No, you want me to start?
I was gonna say it's my house, but then you could also say that.
Who goes first? You go first. I go first.
I go first, man.
You go first.
Oh yeah, man.
Do it.
All right.
Top 5 movies.
Top 5 movies.
Video games or TV shows, I assume.
Movies that have dad force or dad style or dad whatever. And this is the movie as a whole because All right, I don't want to overthink the list, but
do it.
Fine. We'll just start with Meet the Parents. I love that. It's hilarious. It's a hilarious movie. I love Meet the Parents. It's so hilarious.
It is,
and there is so much dad going on in there, And then of course we got Meet the Fockers later. The whole franchise was just, and then Dustin Hoffman came in as being, Ben Stiller's dad. Exactly.
Right.
So De Niro. Oh man, I just love De Niro. So
yeah, he's good in it. Yeah,
it's hilarious. Not necessarily. Do I think he's the best dad? No.
Right. But exactly. That's not what this is about.
Guys. Yeah, it's about movies. Right. Okay. So the second one, Super 8. Oh man, I love Super 8, dude. Spielberg, man. And
nice choice.
And such a cool dad, man. Such a cool dad. He's a cop. He's a little bit indifferent, doesn't know his kids too much, and then makes a full transformation by the end of the film. Him and his, even Woody Woodpecker has the same kind of thing. Him and his, he doesn't know his son too well, but then by the end, they're like father and son who just love each other. So there's that journey of like being estranged from your kid, and then by the end, we're so buddy-buddy.
Right.
So I love that feeling, and Super 8's got that. Not only that, it's just sci-fi, and it's magical, and it's Spielberg, and it's in the 70s, and
it's not Spielberg, it's J.J. Abrams.
Abrams, that's right.
But it's modeled after Spielberg. I mean, it's a Spielberg. It's a love letter to 80s Spielberg movies.
There's a lot going on in that film. Yeah. So Kyle Chandler, who's the lead dad? Because he's awesome.
Chandler. Yeah. I want to say Chandler. I want to say Chandler Riggs too.
That's the funny boy. That's Carl
from Walking Dead. That's Carl, right? Okay. Yeah.
Weird. Finding Nemo. Sorry, guys. I love it.
Okay, Marlin.
I had to watch Finding Nemo.
Marlin, yeah.
Rite of passage for every dad. You have to watch Nemo 100 times. 100 times.
Okay, but that applies to the whole like helicopter parent who needs to let his kid do his thing.
That's right. That's true. But I mean,
right? Like, I can't let you do it because you're gonna get hurt. I can't let you do it because you get hurt. But you're just you have to experience that, and I have to let you go. I have to let you go and let you be a fish.
I know, but it's
scary.
It's hard. Well-written story. I know that.
Yeah.
So. All right. The next one, and this is like, I mean, just the crown jewel here. Is this my fifth one?
This is, fourth, I thought. Marlin.
Okay. Number 4. Okay, so no, I'm gonna have to say Interstellar. Sorry. I'm not crown jewel yet. I'm at Interstellar, and you gave me the idea for this one, so I do got to give you credit. Because I cried so much in that movie, and not as much as Pursuit of Happiness, that's for sure. It wasn't a man bucket, of man tears, but
sure enough.
It was definitely a man coffee cup. So anyway, I love that movie. It's just there's science in it, and then the climax for that is obviously with all the time travel, he finally gets to see his daughter, but she's like a lot older than him and stuff, and it's just like mind blowing, dude. God, that movie is just okay. Crown jewel here. Because I love sci-fi and I love comedy. Right. So let's just put them both together and call Back to the Future my favorite dad movie of all time. Seriously, I just love it. A son is going to try to help his dad grow some balls so that he can change the future.
It's like a reversal.
It is, and then you got the Chuck Berry thing and Michael J. Fox on guitar, and it's like classic cinema, dude. Like so, that's Rob Free's list right there in a nutshell.
I like it. All right, good choices, man. Good choices. All right, I want to start with Interstellar since you already had. I'm going to keep it on my list. I was about to cross it off and add a new one, but I want to keep it in that list because of that aspect of when he leaves. Murphy, yeah. When he leaves Murph that first time and he leaves to go up in space. Now, last time he sees her, it really broke my heart. And I was like, it was like such a gut punch. Mm-hmm. And as he's driving off and she finally decides to come chase after him, I was like, oh my God.
And the music. I remember the music's going right there too.
Yeah,
Hans Zimmer.
And it was such an amazing moment that I will keep it just for that moment right there
on the dusty road, and he's driving off, and it's just like,
yeah. So I'm gonna keep it just for that moment right there. Okay, I already mentioned it, but I got to keep it on the list because The Road.
The Road, yeah, dude.
The Road is one of my favorite movies in that regard. Again. Yeah, but the thing is, I've tried to watch it now as a father, and it's harder for me because it's harder to watch that experience as a father, right? You start putting yourself in those positions, you're like, oh my God, it's horrifying. But that movie is a gut punch, and like I said, we laughed at the end of it, not because we thought it was funny, because it was more like a uncomfortable feeling like we finally were done with this journey, and we just let out a chuckle, together, hey man, we made it. Okay, number 3.
Yep, 3.
Number 3, Logan.
Okay, I didn't see it yet. I need to.
You absolutely need to see it.
I really like Hugh Jackman. I don't know why I haven't. And
did you see 3:10 to Yuma?
Yeah.
You see 3:10 to Yuma?
Yeah, I did see that.
Same director.
Oh, okay, that's a good movie. Yeah, I like that Western.
Yeah. But Logan.
Does Martinez do the music again?
I think so.
Really?
I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Look into it.
But the movie by itself is a testament to fatherhood because it's, he kind of adopts her in a way, but, he takes care of somebody and has to become somebody bigger than he is. Okay. And has to think about other people.
Oh, right.
And, that's the thing about being a father is you can't be selfish.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And you can't be selfish. And we all are still going to be selfish when we need to. We need our time. I need my podcast time. So you guys have to deal with that. Thanks to Tina. She's doing what you got to do, and but you have to be selfish, or I think you become that parent who doesn't enjoy their life anymore.
Right. Oh, you totally.
And I don't want to be right. I don't want to be that dad
constantly complaining about his kids, and it's just like, dude, where's the joy, man? Really?
Right.
You gotta get out and go play
golf. My kids drive me crazy, and I complain about them, but man, like I said, it's those moments. I spend a lot of time with them, and. We share a lot of moments together, and so that's important. But all right, so
number 3,
Logan, great one.
I'm gonna go see it.
All right,
yeah.
Now I'm gonna do My Life with Michael Keaton.
Ooh.
Nicole Kidman, Michael Keaton. He ends up he learns that he has cancer, and starts recording videotapes for his son.
Oh gosh.
To learn before he's even born on what he was all about, teaching him life lessons.
What year?
And I mean, this is an old movie. We're talking like the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't imagine watching it now.
Wow.
Like if I watched it now, I would probably be in tears throughout the entire movie.
Oh, no kidding.
You know, so and that's one thing. Before I get to my last one, the one thing that I find now that I'm a dad is like those moments choke me up. Like that moment and at the end of Endgame. It just those moments now choke me up so much. Like those moments where you're saying goodbye to a child, where you're letting a child grow. Those moments like we're talking about. Those are the moments that really affect me. Now, okay, so my last one. Gotta have something from Spielberg. I gotta have something with Indiana Jones. We're gonna go Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
It's a great dad movie,
right? Because it's a great dad movie. Now he totally different parenting style. Let his kid do his own thing because he's too busy with work, right? And Indiana Jones becomes a great, he becomes a great dad by himself, right? But Last Crusade, man, Professor Jones,
It's so awesome.
Dr. Henry Jones.
Sean Connery.
Man, it's a great one.
Overall well put together movie. I mean, really, that was it's hard to say which my favorite is out of the trilogy, but.
It's not hard for me at all. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple, in the order they were released is my order.
Yeah.
As good as Temple of Doom, or as good as Last Crusade is, I love Temple of Doom because it's just crazy. Kalima.
Anyway, all right. So great.
So there's
great
my
list,
5.
by the way. I love it.
Thank you. All right. So now where are we? We've gotten through great dads. We've gotten through some movies.
Yeah.
We talked about styles.
Yeah.
So we now what about what it means to be a dad?
Yeah, and I think
like the definition of a dad.
Yeah. I think now that we've touched on everything, I think it just comes down to a checklist, and I don't think on that checklist anywhere is a DNA test or a parenting test. So the checklist is basically do you have the dad force? Do you have the dad style? Do you have the dad bod? You know what I mean? Like, do you let yourself go a little bit? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, but no, seriously, if I had to list what a father is, I wouldn't put parenting. I wouldn't put biological DNA test on there. I just wouldn't.
It's not. So it's not. And I come from that side of it. So I come from adopted parenting style, right? And so it doesn't. You don't have to be. You can definitely be a father without being a biological father. There's obviously going to be a connection that you have biologically, right? That you don't have. Like, my folks and I, we don't communicate that way. That's just also how the Catrons are. But there wasn't a connection there in that regard. Like I'm going to make sure I have with my kids. So you take what you learn from as a father or that from your father, and you try to adapt those styles, what you think works best. And then there's things that are learned where you're just going to do anyways because they're kind of a part of you now, like they're just part of who you are. But you don't have to be a biological father to be a dad. I mean, like I said, there's plenty of examples in here that, you could probably find of different dads that are not the true dad. Right. But you can be Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's kind of a dad.
Yeah, father. I would say so. Yeah. And right. Okay, because both the old man and Ewan McGregor version. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because he did that with teenage Anakin in episode 3.
Right. Being more a father figure.
Yeah.
Right. More importantly, there than with Luke because he didn't have much of a time with.
But
Luke.
even in New Hope, he was a father figure. Yeah, he was our grandpa figure. And that's
right. Or then there's Owen, Uncle Owen. Right, he's the adopted father. Uncle Owen is to Luke, and he's the more Red Foreman. You don't make mistakes. You're gonna stay here. I'm gonna hover over you, make sure you don't make mistakes, kind of thing. Stay on the farm. Just keep your nose clean. And so different styles. You know
what's interesting is for every dad force, if dad force is the key, then there is a dad void that is the lock. And it just longs for it. It longs for the dad force to put the key in there, the key in the lock mechanism. This is like biochemistry. This is cause and effect. That dad void. I can tell you what. When I met Eli, who didn't have a biological father, his dad was his grandpa, because
Okay.
That's what we're going to do as children. That's what we're going to do in life. Is if we don't have that, we're going to find the next best thing that we can find, because that's dad void. The dad void longs to be filled. We long to be loved. We long to have our parents. So we get Luke, who, you know, Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. That's his. He had dad void and dad force. Uncle Owen has dad force. So he became his new dad. Uncle Owen was basically his dad.
Yeah.
And then when Uncle Owen died, the dad void opens up again, and who becomes Luke's dad now? Obi-Wan
Kenobi.
And there's no biological father anywhere in that mix. So that's just just letting people know that there's a dad force pushing, there is a dad void opening that needs to be filled. That's why you have big brother, big sister programs, you know. My boss at work, you know, I was talking to him, he's like, "Yeah, my little brother." And I'm like, "Oh, how old is he?" He's 8. And I'm like, "Dude, that's like a 30-year gap." He's like, "Oh, he's not my real little brother." But that's a dad thing. They call older brother big brothers, big sisters. But really, let's be honest. I mean, if you're an older man, that much older, it's almost like a dad thing going on. And again, they call it big brother, but that's dad force right there. Again.
Yeah.
So sorry to bring it up over and over again, but
no, it's cool. So now that we're, you know, we know a little bit about that dad aspect, the dad force, and there's the dad void. I like that. It's really cool.
Sure.
There's a couple honorable mentions I think we need to talk about when it comes to movies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I got a few.
I know you probably have a bunch, and I know there's a couple I haven't said. We are going to get to our top dads shortly, but until then, how about, where was it at here? The Godfather.
The Godfather, absolutely.
Right? Yep. Totally different parenting style, right? He's authoritative. Yeah. It's the mafia, so there's always rules.
Well, when you're born into different families, it could be a blessing or a curse.
Right.
It's like, sorry, you're a Corleone now, dude. That's the way it works.
Right.
So this is how it's going to be.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good one. Air Force One, Harrison Ford. You know, him as a dad being on the plane.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's the president, and his family's on the plane, and he's trying to save his family, and you know, it's always good stuff there.
I'm going to take it to a place that's almost made my list because it's just me and my son. It's Kramer vs. Kramer, dude.
Nice. Yeah, makes sense.
Dustin Hoffman, you know, a man and his son, just one-on-one, dude. And I'll tell you, I know you like your one-on-one moments when you get those with your boys. Like you had you and Jesse weekend one of the weekends.
Yeah.
So it's just really neat when you get that one-on-one.
Right.
So that's why I like that movie. But even like Thor, you know, like becoming your destiny, you become your father.
Okay.
You know, that's something to be said. There's a lot of dad going on in that movie too.
100%.
John Q. What would you do? Would you take people hostage at gunpoint because your kid needs a heart surgery?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whoa, that's a little drastic, dude.
It is, but what do you
himself to make him live? He's dad force because wasn't he going to kill himself to take his heart out and put the heart?
Another Will Smith movie I did not see.
That's not Will Smith. That's Denzel.
That's Denzel. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, no worries, dude.
My bad.
So so honorable mention, Road to Perdition. There's another like Godfather.
Yeah, very similar, right? Father-son duo.
Hey, that's
right?
the way it's going to be. Sorry, dude. But you know, he's trying to get out. He's trying to get out and make a better life for his kids, right? Not necessarily make him be the next crime boss. So.
Exactly. A completely different side there, right? Now, how about The Mist?
Ooh.
Thomas Jane, I believe. It's either Aaron Eckhart or Thomas Jane. I always get those two guys confused. They're very similar looking guys. But anyways, it's a Stephen King horror story. And at the very end, it's about like aliens or monsters come through like a portal, and it's all misty, and they can't leave the diner. And then when they do, he ends up like he has 4 bullets, and he has 5 people in the car, and they run out of gas, and there are all these things around, and he's like, and they decide to like kill each other, like he kills everybody in the car, including his son, so he doesn't get eaten by monsters. And
wow, that's crazy.
But he doesn't have an extra bullet for himself.
You know, if nothing else,
and he has to live with that. Yeah. And then Rob. And then, after he pulls the trigger and tries to kill himself and he can't because there's no more bullets, the mist starts to go away and the army rolls up.
And the end of the movie, and he's like, oh, if we would have just waited
10 seconds. No! Right.
Yes, Stephen King. Oh, that's that sucker punch.
Exactly,
King
right.
Sucker punch.
Oh, my God, so hard to watch. Okay.
Jeez. Well, if nothing else, I love watching these podcasts because it gives me movies to go watch.
Yeah, right.
And I got to watch that. Yeah.
You absolutely do. How about Thanos? He's not a good dad.
No, he's not.
But he is a dad.
He wasn't Gamora's biological father either.
Exactly right. He wasn't, and he kills her to to complete his destiny. Talk about the selfishness of before your kids, right? That's the extreme example there. the indictment against the helicopter fathers.
He said I had to. He said I had to. Star-Lord's like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's a good one. How about Father of the Bride?
Okay, there's a. Okay. How about Big Daddy? Or Daddy's Home? No, Daddy's Home. Biological father gets out of prison, right?
Yep.
So there's two things. There's a dynamic. So there's a lot of dad. Dad is a topic for movies. I'm sorry, we could keep going. I mean, really. But,
and one that really hits home for me is Elf. Yeah. Adopted.
Oh, Elf.
You have the adopted father. You have a father you're trying to go find out about, and there's that part, and then there's learning about a sibling that that you get to meet and have a relationship with, and build a relationship with, I should say. So that's a good one.
One I saw on the internet was the Goofy story. Goofy and his kid.
Okay.
At the end of the day, he's a dad, and that's a really big dad kind of theme movie. Yeah, kind of like the Kramer vs. Kramer thing.
Look at the second Guardians of the Galaxy. We're sticking on Marvel for a second there with Thanos, and then you got Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, yeah. Kurt Russell is Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah.
Right.
And that bends and turns. There's some twists. That's a good plot.
Yeah. I mean, you look at even if it's not the main point of the story, there's always that father aspect is important, much like the mother aspect. I mean, we can do a podcast on mothers and have the same impact on the mother, what it means to be a mother as opposed to a father, which, when you look at it, it's, I think most people think of as protection and guidance as a father. That would be like the two things that most people think, especially back in the day, protection, guidance, make sure that they know how to make those right choices and give them the guidance they need and protect them.
And discipline.
Yeah. So, but I think those are the main grounding points of being a father. And now we've kind of, evolved into being more personal, more loving, more caring with our kids. We're more part of their lives as opposed to just going to work and then coming home, going to sleep, seeing them for 2 hours a day, right. Or an hour a day, or you're going to see your kids, like you said, 6 days a month. I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you don't have that ability and you have to work all day and see them for an hour. It's not a choice. Sometimes.
And I'll tell you what, in those 6 days that I get them, so what's that, times 24 hours? It's like 120 hours.
Right.
Like, we jam-pack it in there. I mean,
absolutely
it's all about him all the time.
Right.
And so I challenge other dads, are you spending 100, well, I mean, I know we're sleeping for probably 20 hours, but are you spending upwards around 80 hours, a month entertaining your kids and getting to know your kids and
doing something with them, instead of just sitting there watching TV with them.
That's right.
That's why I read. Like, one thing that I wasn't a very good reader, as much as I love writing screenplays. That's why, because they're all abbreviated and all that kind of stuff. But I never was a good reader. My folks never read to me. Okay. All right, so I read to my kids every night.
There you go.
I can't say every night. Sometimes we don't, but more often than not, I'm going to be reading to them at night. And now Levi is learning to read, so he's reading on his own. He'll read to me, and then I read to him. So I always want to do that, and so I want to spend as much time as possible to help them. Look, Dad's reading. I can read.
That's right.
I want to read more. I don't just want to watch TV. I want to read. So that's those things that I want to teach. I want to teach the things that I didn't get. Right. Like, I have everything else, but there are certain things like I want to make sure they know that they can do anything they want to do. If they want to go to film school, they can go to film school. They want to be an artist, they can be an artist. They want to, work in a shop, they can work in a shop. They can do whatever they want to do. I'm not going to make them choose. Yeah. Like my.
Well, hopefully they can find. Yeah, but hopefully you can help them find what they're good at too.
Well, that's the thing.
We need to encourage that.
That's important, Rob, because I think my folks, they were always hard-lined on gotta get a job so you can retire in 30 years, like everyone's doing. I'm like, that's changing. That's not happening anymore. We don't do that anymore. And if they would have saw the creativity part of me, like playing with my toys, creating worlds, and they would have led me down that road, of following that type of, at least, mindset, who knows what would happen, right? And so you're absolutely right. When you see the kids, if you see a love that they have, you want to make sure you let them explore that. It's really, really, really important. So
yeah. Well, there's one more piece of advice right here. A wise man once said that there's two types of men in this world: those that are trying to relive their childhood, and those that are running from it. Period.
Okay.
So with that said, I think we should run into our top 5 dad list.
Top 5 dad list. Okay, I'm ready.
All right,
so,
top 5. One more. All right.
Boom. Okay, so I will start with. So you went first the last time. I'll go first this time.
You go first.
Fair enough.
Top 5 dads.
Okay, top 5 dads. I've already mentioned one. I'm going to say dad characters. Right.
Here we are.
Clark W. Griswold.
Yes.
I'm gonna use him. I use him first. I'm gonna use him at the end here because he's just he's a dad who cares. He's just inept.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go with he's not the best. This is not about being the best dad, right? This is about being my favorite dad. So I'm gonna use Darth Vader.
Memorable
and
influential.
Right.
It's in a bad way. Yeah. Okay.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, favorite dad. Okay.
Yeah. Because he doesn't know it until once he realizes that he's a dad, that he does everything he can to get his son. He's trying to find his son.
Yeah. He tries, actually, when he's young, he tries to get him away. He's right? Or
No. He doesn't even know about him.
Oh.
Until he has like a until A New Hope, where he's so close to him, he feels the Force and he can sense that that's his son. But but in Empire, he's spending a lot of time and effort trying to find Luke, and the whole story is about capturing Luke to bring him to Darth Vader so they could take over together and rule the galaxy as father and son.
Oh, I see. So from that perspective, I mean, he was not wrong. He's like, I just want to get my kids so I can. So you go.
And then we're gonna beat the Emperor.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna end this destructive struggle and rule the galaxy as father and son.
I like that.
I mean, come on.
Slight perspective change, but I love it. That's a good one.
All right. Okay, number 3. Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Wow, great pick.
You know, he does the unthinkable that most men, especially back then, would be to dress up as a woman.
No kidding. Now,
to spend time with his kids.
Was that before or after Dead Poets Society? Because it would have been
after.
Hard as a father figure in that movie.
True.
You know, being a teacher
in a much different way.
Different way. But then now he's willing to cross-dress.
Right. So one is about
an amazing job being.
Right. Well, one job. Dead Poet's about being influential, right, and being and help guide the kids and help them learn, right. And the other why is Mrs. Doubtfire. It's being with your kids, spending time with them,
doing whatever at
any cost.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
That's a good movie.
Whatever it takes. Remember that when it comes to Avengers and Endgame.
Whatever it
takes. Okay. So number
4.
I'll say The Man in the Road.
Yeah, The Man.
Okay. It's not a surprise I'm going to say that movie. It's been in my top 5 list. It's for movies. Now it's here because it's just he's going to do everything he can to keep his kids safe.
Right.
And I love that. And my last one, a little different. Alfred Pennyworth, the Batman series.
Yes. Michael Caine.
I don't have any particular Alfred in mind.
Oh, I do.
Just Alfred in general.
Michael Caine, dude.
Michael Caine is probably my favorite.
Nolan's. Oh yeah.
Right.
He's like, you'll never give up on me, will you, Alfred? Never. You know.
Nah.
I just love that.
Never.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, Alfred, man.
Yeah.
So good. So rock
and
solid.
Not a dad.
Yeah.
Not a dad. I wanted to choose something that, okay, so, you have very different dads in that mix. Yeah. And this one is not a dad, but a father figure.
Yeah.
He's trying to help him, obviously. Does everything he can to help him, but also guide him, teach him right for wrong.
Remind him who he is, like Mufasa tried to do.
Isn't that as your kids grow, you've done everything you can, and then that right there, Rob, I think you killed it, is remind them of who they are. Good point. Your turn.
Number 1, Marlon.
Nice.
And this is probably the only one where my favorite movie actually crosses over to my favorite dad too. Just
okay.
I mean, yeah. Albert Brooks.
Yep. Albert Brooks. Yes, Albert Brooks. Yes.
Yeah.
I almost said Albert Finney, but that's a different guy.
Yeah. So it's just really good. I don't know how to explain this. It's just one of those movies that he'll do whatever it takes to find his son, and he also learns that lesson. You got to let
Right.
I like. Okay, I'm talking about the character, not the movie. Sorry, I went into the plot of the movie, but there's something very charming about him and hardships that he's went through, and now because his whole family died, his wife died. I mean, it's just thinking about him as a survivor, and it'd be so easy to give up, but he doesn't.
Right.
All right. Rick Grimes, number 2.
Oh,
Grimes.
wow. Nice choice.
I have to, dude. I have to. And not only, and don't get me wrong, I don't like everything about him and every decision he's made, and I don't think he's the best dad of all time, but I think that, like your Vader choice, love it or not like it, he's doing whatever he can to try to be the best dad he can under what it's worth, and I don't want to put any spoilers out there because there's some major spoilers about Carl in that series. but who's the son, obviously, but the dad. And I haven't even watched season 9 yet, so I don't even know what happens to Rick.
But yeah, but that's a good point though. But he does everything he can in the name of his son and his daughter. Right.
Yeah. And his daughter. That's right. Forgot about Judith. Yeah.
Right. So, like, remember the moment where, like, they talk about dads and those feelings you get when you're a dad now, then you watch them, you're like, it really affects you. And then when you think Judith is gone in her baby seat and you see the blood and you think that the baby was devoured.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, it's and they're crying and it's like you're crying along with them because of that.
Yeah.
You know, you have a different reaction to that. It's still probably horrifying if you're not a father to see that moment, but it's just a different reaction you have when you're actually, and you can sit there and look at it from a father.
And there's two things going on too. There's also this, and Rick gets double props because it's what you're dealing with in baseball. Not only do you have to be a dad, but you have to manage a team, or else there's so many more responsibilities going on, and I think that's why he's one of my favorite dads, because he has to be the leader of this group. He has to be freaking Rick. He's got to be Rick, dude, and be a dad. So that's why that double role. All right, next one, Gil from Parenthood, Steve Martin.
Okay, love it.
And that's why I said, and no, I'm not doing this in order of chronological, like I said at the beginning of the episode. But no, that's one of my first times, besides Mr. Mom, that I on screen as a kid, I was watching a movie like, there's a dad. Oh, that's what it means to be a dad. And then it made me start thinking about my dad and the fact that there's a dad, and my dad force became awoken.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that opened it up for me, and it's just awesome when he does. And for me, it's the dress up like a cowboy, and he's like, because the clown doesn't show up, what are you gonna do? It's like, well, get in there, be the clown, and like exactly. I think you get that a lot too with what you do. So here's one that's really near and dear to me, and it's I think it would make my mom's top 5 list. Atticus Finch, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, very nice choice. Going back,
dude. Gregory Peck. I mean, so handsome, so authoritative, deep voice, so fair, so kind, so honest. I think that's on a lot of people's top 5 lists, as far as all-time cinema goes, right? But I remember at an early age also watching that, like in high school, on TCM or something. I flipped it on and I was just like, what's this? And then I revisited it because I watched it with my mom in the last 5 years with my son Eli. My stepson Eli, and I kind of revisited that a little bit too. And then my mom was commenting back in the day, and people were really like, "Wow, what a good role model!" He was in that. Yeah. So anyway, I just really like that guy. So all right, and then the last one we already talked about it, Jason Stiles. It actually made my list. So when you brought it up, I was like,
"Is that right?"
God, he brought up So nice. I just loved him. I'm sorry, I just loved him. He was zen. He was meditative. He had those the ball things, the Chinese meditation balls. So but he was always dropping knowledge, and I know it's cliche now, but back in the day, it really opened my mind. Knowledge is power, that kind of thing. And not. And being like, hey, why is there a gun store and a liquor store in every corner out here? You don't see that in white neighborhoods, and really that story needs to be told. Rest in peace, John Singleton. Recently, but that character and Lawrence Fishburne played him very well. And I can tell you what, when he became the father figure in Morpheus, it was a perfect cast. So that him being a favorite dad has set it up into being definitely one of my more favorite father figure characters of all time in Morpheus. There you go, guys.
Nice. Now, speaking of Morpheus, you've got to watch John Wick 2 for Lawrence Fishburne with John Wick.
He's not. Oh, John Wick 2. That's right. He's not in 3, but he's in 2. I got to see that.
He's in 3 as well.
Oh, he is. Oh,
but you need to see 2 first. You got to go watch 2 and then see 3. There's some nice stuff there between those two. So you'll like that. But yeah, there it is, folks. That's some good choices, man. Different than mine for different reasons. That's what I love about it. It's like, it's about what does it mean to be a dad, and what do you like about dads, and what do you want the character to learn? Yeah, so there's so many different reasons why we like the different kinds of dads in these movies. Yeah. And it's either parenting style, it's how different it is from you, or how it affects you. I mean, there's so many different ways and how you can't quantify it, It's just they affect you in different ways. Yeah. But to me, it always comes back to the effort of the dad. And like how like every one of those, like for me, Clark, Vader, Robin Williams, the man, not so much Alfred maybe, but those first 4 are all about the efforts they go through to ensure either safety, stability, peace and happiness. They're always trying to do something and go overboard to try to make sure that they, I don't want to be an absent, I don't want to be an absentee dad where I'm not taking my kids someplace or I'm not involved with their sports life.
Right.
I have the ability because I'm here. I'm with them.
Yeah.
So, but it's not. That's what I love about those movies. And when you talk about some of your movies, it's the challenge of being a dad.
All right. Hey,
like Marlon.
One more.
The challenge of being a dad.
Yeah, I know. Hey, one more thing, since I'm feeling all prophetic today with my quotes.
Oh,
I lost it. I know. I had a really good one. What were you just talking about?
I was talking about the challenge of being a dad.
Yeah.
And how
here it is.
Marlon.
Here it is.
Yeah.
All I know is that in the end, when we're on our deathbed or we're getting ready to pass into the next world or whatever happens, no one ever says out loud, boy, I really wish I had more rounds of golf. Really wish I bought more guitars. Really wish I would have. No,
right.
They all say, I really wish I would have spent more time with my kids.
Right. Because it happens fast, and everyone says when you have kids, it's a blink of an eye, and it is. And as frustrated as I get and as tiring and exhausting I can be sometimes, you deal with it, you move on, and you have those next moments.
There it is.
So, So everybody, I hope you enjoyed listening to Rob and I talk about dads, movies.
Dad.
Yeah.
I love it.
And surprisingly, we didn't even talk about video games in one way, shape, or form.
Oh, but there is that new God of War reboot, and there's a lot of dad, son. I haven't played it yet. That's why. If I played it, we'd be. But
I played some of it. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Rob, this was a good talk, man. I'm glad we finally got this one in. If you haven't done so already, folks, hit that subscribe button. It should be on this side over here. Like and follow the J. Craig. Follow us. Listen. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Rob, until next time, brother.